The words hit me like a physical blow. Emily, you need to understand that you're just not as special as your sister. My mother said it so casually, stirring her coffee as if she hadn't just driven a stake through my heart. My father nodded beside her, his face a mask of pained agreement. 28 years old, and I was still being compared to my perfect older sister. I sat there at my parents' kitchen table, the same one where I'd done homework while Melissa had received praise for her latest achievement. The same table where my report cards with solid B's were met with tight smiles, while her straight A's warranted celebration dinners. Now here I was again, being told explicitly what had been implied my entire life. "We're just being realistic," my father added, reaching awkwardly to pat my hand. I pulled away before he could touch me. "Melissa has always been exceptional. She's going to be chief of surgery at 35. You should be proud of her, too." My throat felt tight. "I am proud of her. That's not the point." "Then what is the point, Emily?" My mother's voice had that edge to it, the one that appeared whenever I didn't immediately agree with her assessment of things. "We've always supported you, but you can't expect us to pretend you're on the same level as your sister. It's not fair to her." Not fair to her. Never mind what was fair to me. I'd come over today to tell them my own news. I'd finally finished my novel after writing in the early mornings before my teaching job and late into the nights for 3 years. I'd secured a literary agent who believed in my work. It wasn't becoming chief of surgery, but it was my dream, the thing I'd worked toward while they were busy attending Melissa's award ceremonies and medical school graduation. "I should go," I said, standing up so quickly my chair scraped loudly against the floor. The folder containing the first chapter of my manuscript and my agent's business card sat untouched on the table. I hadn't even gotten to share my news. "Oh, don't be so sensitive." My mother waved dismissively. "We're just having an honest conversation. You've always been this way, taking everything so personally." I looked at both of them, really looked. My mother with her perfectly highlighted hair and tailored outfit. My father with his perpetually worried expression, like he was constantly calculating the emotional mathematics of keeping peace in the family. "I'm not being sensitive," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "I'm finally seeing things clearly." "What's that supposed to mean?" my father asked, his forehead creasing even more. I picked up my folder and tucked it into my bag. "Just that I'm 30 years past due for accepting the truth about where I stand in this family." I drove home with tears blurring my vision. But they weren't sad tears, they were angry ones. This wasn't the first time they'd made me feel less than, but something had shifted inside me. Maybe it was having worked so hard on my book, pushing through self-doubt every single day. Maybe it was finally having someone, my agent, Kate, look at my work and see value in it. My apartment felt like a sanctuary when I walked in. It was small but filled with books and plants and art I loved. No framed medical degrees or photos from white coat ceremonies. Those all lived at my parents' house, shrine-like on the walls. I sat on my worn couch and pulled out my phone, navigating to my recent calls. Melissa and I talked weekly, sometimes more often. Despite our parents' constant comparisons, we'd managed to maintain a relationship. She knew about our parents' favoritism, but always seemed uncomfortable discussing it, changing the subject whenever I brought it up. My thumb hovered over her name, but then moved to Kate's instead. My agent picked up on the second ring. "Emily, I was just about to call you. The editor at Pearson House absolutely loved the first 3 chapters. They want to see the full manuscript as soon as possible." For a moment, I forgot about my parents. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. They're very excited about it. Said your voice was fresh and the story felt both timeless and urgent." I leaned back on my couch, a smile breaking through despite everything. That's amazing. You okay? You sound a little off." "Just family stuff. I tried to tell my parents about the book, but..." I trailed off. Kate sighed. "Let me guess. They didn't get it." They didn't even give me the chance to tell them. They were too busy reminding me how I don't measure up to my surgeon sister. Their loss, Kate said firmly. But look, this is a big deal, Emily. We should celebrate. Drinks tomorrow. Definitely. After we hung up, I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I did something I'd never done before. I ignored a text from Melissa asking about our usual Sunday call. Instead, I opened my laptop and threw myself into final revisions on my manuscript. 3 days passed before Melissa called rather than texted. I let it go to voicemail. Is everything okay? You didn't call Sunday, and you haven't responded to my texts. Mom mentioned you seemed upset when you left their place the other day. Call me back, okay? Mom mentioned. Of course she did. But what exactly had she said? That I was being oversensitive again. That I couldn't handle the truth about my mediocrity compared to Melissa's brilliance? I deleted the voicemail and went back to work. By Friday, I had 6 missed calls from Melissa and 2 from my parents. I sent Melissa a brief text, busy with work. Everything's fine. She responded immediately. Are you sure? This isn't like you. It wasn't like me, and that was the point. The old Emily would have called back right away, would have swallowed her hurt feelings and played her assigned role in the family dynamic. The new Emily was finishing her manuscript and had drinks scheduled with an editor who thought her work was important. The following Wednesday, my phone rang just as I was sending the completed manuscript to Kate. It was my father, which was unusual. My mother was typically the family communicator. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello. Emily. His voice sounded tight. Your sister needs you. My stomach dropped. What happened? Is she hurt? Not physically. He paused. She lost a patient yesterday. A young woman, just 24. There were complications during what should have been a routine procedure. Melissa did everything right, but I closed my eyes. Despite my recent distance, I could picture exactly how devastated Melissa would be. She'd always been driven by a genuine desire to help people, not just ambition. That's terrible, I said. Is she at her place? Yes. She called in sick today, which she's never done. Your mother went over, but Melissa wouldn't let her in. She's not answering our calls now. The unspoken request hung between us. Fix this. Comfort her. That had always been part of my role in the family, too. Melissa achieved, and when the rare failure occurred, I was the emotional support. I'll check on her, I said flatly. Thank you. The relief in my father's voice was palpable. She'll talk to you. She always does. I hung up and sat staring at the wall. Part of me wanted to rush to Melissa's side immediately. Despite everything, I loved my sister. This wasn't her fault. She hadn't created our parents' favoritism. She'd just benefited from it. But another part of me, the part that had been silenced for 28 years, whispered something else. Let them handle their golden child's crisis for once. I picked up my phone and called Kate instead. The manuscript is in your inbox, I said when she answered. Fantastic. I was just about to email you. The editor wants to meet. Next Monday work for you? Absolutely. We chatted about details for a few minutes. When we hung up, I looked at my phone again at the notification showing another missed call from my parents. For the first time in my life, I turned off my phone completely and went for a long walk in the park near my apartment. The next morning, I turned my phone back on to find 17 missed calls, along with texts ranging from worried to angry. My mother's final message read, Your sister is falling apart and you're ignoring us? I thought we raised you better than this. I stared at those words. I thought we raised you better than this, for a long time. They'd spent my entire life making it clear that Melissa was the better daughter, the special one. Now, they were shocked that I wasn't rushing to play my supporting role. I texted back one sentence. I have an important work commitment I can't change. This wasn't entirely untrue. I was deep in preparations for my meeting with the editor. creating notes on potential revisions and ideas for marketing the book. My mother called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was predictably guilt-laden. Emily Grace Taylor, I don't know what's gotten into you, but your sister needs you. Whatever work thing you have can wait. Family comes first. Family comes first. Except when family meant my needs, apparently. I sent another text. I'll try to stop by Melissa's tomorrow evening. Then I silenced notifications from my parents and focused on my work. I did intend to check on Melissa the next day, but that morning I received an email from the editor saying she'd read the entire manuscript overnight and wanted to move our meeting up. She was prepared to make an offer. By that afternoon, I was sitting across from Leanne Phillips, senior editor at Pearson House, being offered a 2-book deal. "Your novel captured me from the first page," she said, her eyes bright with genuine enthusiasm. "The way you write about family dynamics, about living in someone else's shadow, it's powerful, Emily. I think it's going to resonate with a lot of readers." I fought back tears. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The protagonist's journey from self-doubt to self-acceptance is so authentic. You can feel her pain, but also her strength as she learns to value herself despite her family's inability to see her clearly. I'd started writing the book 2 years ago, pouring my experiences into fiction, transforming my pain into something meaningful. Hearing Leanne talk about it like this, as something valuable, something that might help others feel less alone, was overwhelming. I signed the contract right there in that meeting. When I finally checked my phone again, I had more missed calls and increasingly frantic texts from my parents. Nothing from Melissa, though, which was unusual. Even in her darkest moods, she typically responded to messages eventually. For a brief moment, worry cut through my resolution. Was she really doing that badly? Should I have gone to her immediately? But then I remembered all the times I'd needed support. When I'd lost my job during COVID layoffs, when my college boyfriend cheated on me, when I'd been rejected by graduate programs, and how my pain had always been treated as less significant than Melissa's achievements happening at the same time. I texted my sister directly, "Heard about your patient. I'm so sorry, Mel. I've been caught up with something important, but I can come by tonight if you want to talk." No response. By evening, my mother called again, and this time I picked up. "Finally," she snapped. "I don't know what's going on with you, but this behavior is completely unacceptable. Melissa is in crisis. What exactly is happening with her?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "She's not eating, barely sleeping. She blames herself completely. The patient's family is considering legal action, though the hospital review found no negligence. She's talking about quitting surgery altogether." That didn't sound like my determined, confident sister at all. Despite my resolution to maintain boundaries, concern flooded through me. Has she talked to her therapist? Melissa had been seeing someone for anxiety management for years, another detail our parents preferred not to discuss. Mental health struggles didn't fit their perfect daughter narrative. "She canceled her appointment," my mother said. "Emily, you need to come over there. She'll listen to you." "Why are you so sure of that? You've spent my entire life telling me how much better she is than me at everything. Why would she listen to her less special sister now?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "Then, is that what this is about? You're punishing your sister because of something we said." "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not dropping everything in my life the way I've always been expected to whenever Melissa needs something. I can't believe how selfish you're being right now." I laughed, though there was no humor in it. "That's rich, coming from you. What is that supposed to mean?" "It means I've spent my entire life being told I'm less important, less special, less everything than Melissa. And now you're shocked that I'm finally acting like I believe you. We never said. You literally said those exact words to me last week. You're just not as special as your sister. Those were your exact words, Mom." Another long silence. Then, I think you misunderstood. I understood perfectly. For once in my life, I'm prioritizing myself. I have something important happening in my career right now, something I've worked incredibly hard for. I will check on Melissa when I can, but I'm not dropping everything the way I've always been expected to. What could possibly be so important that you'd abandon your sister when she needs you? The dismissiveness in her tone made something snap inside me. I just signed a 2-book deal with Pearson House. I'm going to be a published author. That's what's so important. You what? Since when do you write books? The genuine shock in her voice said everything. Since always, Mom. I've been writing since I was 12. I finished a novel. It's being published. Well, that's nice, honey. But right now I have to go. I'll try to see Melissa tomorrow. I hung up, my hand shaking. In all the scenarios I'd imagined telling my parents about my book deal, none had involved this kind of hollow victory. But perhaps that was fitting. They'd never see my achievements as equal to Melissa's anyway. I stared at my phone at my sister's number. Despite everything, the thought of her suffering tore at me. We'd grown up in the same dysfunctional family system, playing the roles assigned to us. It wasn't her fault that she'd been cast as the golden child any more than it was my fault I'd been cast as the ordinary one. But I couldn't rush to fix this situation the way I always had before. Something fundamental had shifted in me. I needed to honor my own journey, my own achievement, before I could be there for anyone else, even Melissa. I texted her one more time. I love you. What happened wasn't your fault. I want to be there for you, but I need you to understand that I'm going through something important too. Can we talk tomorrow? Still no response. I went to bed conflicted but resolute. For the first time in my life, I was putting myself first. It felt terrifying, selfish, and absolutely necessary all at once. Morning came with no reply from Melissa. I checked my phone first thing, anxiety churning in my stomach despite my resolve. Nothing. I sent another text, thinking of you. Please let me know you're okay. I spent the morning in a daze, oscillating between elation over my book deal and worry about my sister. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I called my parents. We're at Melissa's apartment now, my mother said, her voice tight. She finally let us in this morning. She's not good, Emily. Put her on the phone, I said. She doesn't want to talk. Mom, please. Just tell her it's me. I heard muffled voices. Then my father came on the line. She says she'll call you later. Is she eating? Sleeping. Barely. The hospital placed her on mandatory leave pending the investigation. Standard procedure, they said, but she's taking it as confirmation she did something wrong. I closed my eyes. I'll come over tonight. Thank you, he said, sounding genuinely relieved. We're worried, Emily. I've never seen her like this. After hanging up, I stared at my laptop at the congratulatory email from my new editor. I should have been celebrating, calling friends, planning a launch strategy. Instead, I was being pulled back into the family dynamic I'd just started to escape. But this was Melissa. Despite everything, she was still my sister. The person who'd helped me with math homework when our parents were too busy attending her science competitions. The one who defended me against middle school bullies and later taught me to apply for college scholarships. Our relationship had always been complicated by our parents' favoritism, but we'd managed to forge a bond anyway. I was halfway through composing an email to Kate about marketing ideas when my phone rang. Melissa's name appeared on the screen. Mel. I answered immediately. Hey. Her voice was flat, nothing like her usual confident tone. I'm so sorry about your patient. Yeah. She paused. Mom and Dad said you just got a book deal. That's amazing, Em. Despite everything, I felt a spark of warmth that she'd called to congratulate me. That was Melissa, even in her darkest moments, thinking of others. Thanks. It just happened yesterday. I hesitated. I wanted to tell you myself, but But I've been a mess and you couldn't reach me. I know. She sighed heavily. I'm sorry I didn't respond to your texts. Don't apologize. I understand. Do you? Her voice cracked slightly. Because I don't. I don't understand how I could have missed that arterial anomaly. It was right there on the pre-op scans if I had just looked more carefully. The hospital review found no negligence, right? Sometimes terrible things happen despite everyone doing everything correctly. That's what everyone keeps saying. It doesn't help. I know. I paused. I'm coming over tonight. We can talk more then. You don't need to do that. You should be celebrating your book. I can celebrate later. You're more important right now. The words were automatic, ingrained after years of putting Melissa's needs first. But as soon as they left my mouth, I felt a twinge of regret. Not because I didn't care about my sister, but because I'd fallen right back into the old pattern. Thanks, she said softly. I should go. Mom's hovering. Okay, I'll see you around 6. After we hung up, I sat in silence for a few minutes. Then I texted Kate. Can we postpone our celebration dinner until next week? Family emergency. She responded immediately. Of course. Everything okay? Will be. I'll fill you in later. I spent the rest of the afternoon trying to work, but mostly staring at my computer screen, my mind spinning. At 5, I packed up some homemade brownies I'd baked the night before, Melissa's favorite, and headed to her apartment across town. When I arrived, my mother answered the door, her face drawn with worry. She's in her bedroom. Your father just went to pick up dinner. The apartment was immaculate, as always. Melissa's surgical precision extended to her living space. But there was an unusual stillness to it. No music playing, no TV on in the background. I found my sister sitting on her bed, staring at nothing. Her normally perfect hair was unwashed, and she wore old sweatpants and a medical school t-shirt. She looked up when I entered, and the raw pain in her eyes took my breath away. Hey, I said softly, sitting beside her on the bed. I brought brownies. She attempted a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Triple chocolate. Is there any other kind? For a moment, we sat in silence. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Her name was Lydia, 24 years old, getting her PhD in marine biology. She had a rare condition that needed surgical intervention. I've done that procedure 6 times before without complications. I took her hand. It was cold. What happened? An anatomical anomaly we didn't catch on the pre-op imaging. By the time I realized what was happening, she trailed off. I tried everything, everything, but I couldn't stop the bleeding. I know you did. She looked at me directly for the first time since I'd arrived. How do you know? You weren't there. The words weren't accusatory, just hollow. Still, they stung. Because I know you, I said firmly. You would have done everything humanly possible to save her. Tears filled her eyes. It wasn't enough. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders, feeling her lean into me slightly. Sometimes it isn't. That doesn't mean you failed. Try telling that to her parents, her fiancé. They trusted me to fix her, and instead, I'm arranging grief counseling referrals for them. That's not fair to yourself, Mel. She shrugged limply. Mom and Dad said you've been working on a book all this time, that you got a deal with a major publisher. Why didn't you ever tell me about it? The abrupt change of subject threw me. I don't know. I guess I wasn't sure it would ever amount to anything. That's not like you. You usually tell me everything. I looked down at our clasped hands. Maybe I was afraid it wouldn't measure up, compared to saving lives and all that. She shook her head, a flicker of her old fire returning. That's ridiculous. Writing a book is incredible, I could never do that. Well, apparently I can't save lives, so we're even, I said, trying for lightness. She didn't smile. Is that what you think? That there's some kind of competition between us? Isn't there? Mom and Dad have always made it pretty clear who the winner is. The words came out before I could stop them. This wasn't the time to have this conversation. Not when Melissa was so vulnerable. But to my surprise, she nodded slowly. I know they compare us. I've asked them not to, but they don't listen. This was new information. You have. Many times. Especially after that disaster of a Christmas when Dad spent the whole dinner talking about my fellowship while you were sitting right there having just been laid off. I remembered that Christmas vividly. I'd left early, claiming a headache. They told me recently that I'm just not as special as you, I said quietly. That's an actual quote. Melissa's eyes widened. They said that to your face. I nodded. Jesus, Em. She ran a hand through her tangled hair. I'm so sorry. That's awful. Not your fault. Still, she swallowed hard. Is that why you've been distant? Because of what they said? Partly. And partly because I'm trying to figure out who I am outside of being your sister. Outside of being the less special daughter. She flinched at my words. You've never been less special to me. I know that. And I did know it, somewhere beneath the layers of hurt. But I've spent my whole life feeling like I had to earn my place at the table, like nothing I did was ever going to be enough. And now you've written a book that's being published. That's more than enough. I smiled sadly. You'd think so, wouldn't you? But when I told Mom yesterday, she barely acknowledged it. She was too busy telling me how selfish I was for not dropping everything to come help you. Melissa's face hardened. She what? It doesn't matter. I'm here now. It absolutely matters. She stood up suddenly, swaying slightly after days of barely eating. Where is she? Mel, sit down. You're not well. I'm well enough for this. She marched out of the bedroom, calling Mom. I followed her, anxiety bubbling up. This was exactly what I'd wanted to avoid. Creating more family drama when Melissa was already in crisis. My mother was in the kitchen, arranging takeout containers on plates in a futile attempt to make delivery food seem homemade. She looked up, surprise crossing her face at Melissa's stormy expression. Did you tell Emily she was selfish for not coming over immediately? When she just got a major book deal. My mother's eyes darted between us. I was worried about you, sweetheart. You weren't answering calls. I might have been a bit harsh. Did you or did you not tell her she's not as special as me? Melissa's voice was dangerously quiet now. My mother's silence was confirmation enough. How could you say that to her? Melissa continued, her voice rising. Do you have any idea how much damage you've done with this constant comparing? Melissa, you need to calm down. You're upset about your patient, and that's understandable, but this isn't about my patient. It's about how you've treated Emily our entire lives. How you've made her feel like she's somehow less valuable because she chose teaching and writing instead of medicine. I touched my sister's arm gently. Mel, it's okay. You don't need to. It's not okay. She whirled to face me. It's not okay that I didn't know about your book because you were afraid to tell me. It's not okay that when something amazing happened in your life, you couldn't share it because our parents have created this toxic competition between us. The front door opened, and my father walked in carrying additional bags of food. He froze, taking in the scene, Melissa red-faced and trembling, my mother tight-lipped, me standing awkwardly between them. What's happening? He asked cautiously. Did you tell Emily she's not as special as me? Melissa demanded without preamble. My father's eyes widened. He looked at my mother, then back at Melissa. We didn't mean it like that. We were just trying to explain that. That what? That her accomplishments don't matter as much as mine? That her dreams aren't as important? That's exactly how it sounds, Dad. Melissa, you need to sit down, my mother said firmly. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in days. Melissa's voice shook. Do you know what it feels like to have someone die on your operating table? To know that no matter how good you are, sometimes it's not enough. My parents exchanged alarmed glances. Of course it's devastating, my father said gently. No one's saying it isn't. I'm not talking about Lydia right now. I'm talking about the pressure you've put on me my entire life to be perfect, to be special. She spat the last word. Do you have any idea what that does to a person? We've always supported both of you, my mother said defensively. I couldn't stay silent anymore. No, you haven't. You've supported Melissa's achievements and tolerated my existence. My mother's face crumpled. That's not true. We've always been there for you. Being there physically isn't the same as being supportive, I said quietly. When was the last time you asked about my writing? About my students? About anything that matters to me? My father looked stricken. Emily, we've always been proud of you. Have you? Because I can't remember the last time either of you said that to me. Melissa sat down heavily at the kitchen table. I can't do this anymore. Do what, sweetheart? My mother moved toward her, but Melissa held up a hand. This, pretending everything's fine when it's not. Watching you dismiss Emily while expecting her to drop everything when I need help. She looked at me. I'm so sorry, Em. I never realized how bad it was. It's not your responsibility, I said. Maybe not, but I've been complicit. I've accepted their favoritism without challenging it. My father set the food bags on the counter. I think we all need to take a breath here. Melissa's been through a trauma, and Emily has good news we should be celebrating. Maybe this isn't the right time for... That's the problem right there, I interrupted. There's never a right time to talk about this. Melissa always has something more important happening, some bigger achievement or crisis that takes precedence. My sister nodded. She's right, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being put on a pedestal I never asked for. I'm tired of watching Emily get overlooked because she doesn't fit your narrow definition of success. My mother burst into tears. How can you say these things? We've given everything to both of you. No, Melissa said firmly. You've given everything to the idea of me, Dr. Melissa Taylor, brilliant surgeon, not to the actual me, who's terrified of failure, who cries in supply closets when cases go badly, who's questioning everything about her career right now. My father sat down, looking suddenly older. We never meant to make either of you feel less than. But you did, I said. You do. All the time. We fell into silence, the only sound my mother's muffled sobs. The expensive Thai food my father had brought grew cold on the counter. Finally, Melissa spoke again, her voice calmer. I think we need some space from each other. All of us. My parents looked alarmed. What do you mean? My father asked. I mean, I'm going to take some time to figure out what I want. Whether I even want to continue in surgery. And I need to do that without your expectations weighing on me. And I need to focus on my book, I added. On my career, which is actually taking off in a way I never expected. My mother wiped her eyes. So you're both just walking away from us? Because we pushed you to succeed. No, Melissa said gently. We're asking for boundaries, for respect, for you to see us as the adults we are, not extensions of yourselves. I don't understand what we did wrong, my mother said plaintively. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time saw not just my critical mother, but a woman who genuinely couldn't comprehend where she'd gone wrong. There was something sad about that, sad for her, sad for all of us. It's not about doing something wrong, I said. It's about recognizing that comparing us our whole lives has damaged both of us in different ways. It's made me feel worthless, and it's put crushing pressure on Melissa. My father reached for my mother's hand. We never meant to hurt either of you. We thought we were being supportive. I know, I said, surprised to find I actually believed him. But intent doesn't erase impact. Melissa stood up. I think you should go now. Both of you. Emily can stay if she wants. My parents looked shocked. But we came to help you, my mother protested. And I appreciate that. But right now, you're not helping. You're making things worse. Slowly, reluctantly, my parents gathered their things. My mother tried once more. Melissa, you're not thinking clearly. You've been through a trauma. Mom, I interrupted. She's a 35-year-old neurosurgeon. Trust that she knows what she needs right now. After a tense moment, my parents left, my father practically dragging my stunned mother out the door. When they were gone, Melissa collapsed onto her couch. Well, that was dramatic. I sat beside her. Are you okay? Not even close. She gave a weak laugh, but maybe a little better than before you got here. Really? Because it seems like I just helped trigger a family nuclear meltdown. It was long overdue. She turned to face me. I had no idea they said that to you, about not being as special as me. I shrugged uncomfortably. It wasn't exactly a news flash. They've implied it my whole life. Still, saying it out loud is... She shook her head. It's unforgivable. Maybe not unforgivable, but definitely not something I can pretend didn't happen. I hesitated. I am sorry I wasn't here for you immediately when you lost your patient. Don't apologize for that. You were right to maintain boundaries. She ran a hand through her hair again. God, I'm a mess. Haven't showered in 3 days. Go shower, I said gently. I'll heat up the food. Then you can tell me about Lydia, and I can tell you about my book. Deal? She nodded, then surprised me by pulling me into a tight hug. I'm really proud of you, Em. I always have been. Tears stung my eyes. I'm proud of you too, even when you make mistakes. Maybe especially then. After she disappeared into the bathroom, I moved around her kitchen, heating food and setting the table for two. For the first time in my life, I felt like we might be able to build a relationship based on who we actually were, not who our parents wanted us to be. When Melissa emerged from the shower, looking somewhat revived, she sat across from me at her small dining table. So, this book of yours, what's it about? I hesitated only briefly before answering. It's about two sisters, one who's always been told she's special, and one who's always felt invisible, and how they find their way back to each other. She smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes this time. I can't wait to read it. You'll be the first person to get a copy, I promised. After my editor, of course. As it should be. She took a bite of pad thai. Tell me everything. How long have you been working on it? When will it be published? As I began to share details about my novel, I felt something shift inside me, a quiet acknowledgement that my story mattered, that I mattered, not in comparison to my sister or anyone else, but simply because I existed and had something to say. Melissa listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions. When I finished, she said, I think I might take a leave of absence. Not just the mandatory week the hospital gave me. A real break. Really? You've never taken more than a weekend off in your life. Losing Lydia, it's made me rethink everything. What if I've been pushing myself towards something I don't even want anymore? What if I've been living my life to meet expectations instead of following my own path? I nodded slowly. I think we both have in different ways. Well, I'm done with that. And so should you be. She raised her water glass in a toast to figuring out who we really are. No comparisons, no expectations. I clinked my glass against hers, to being our own definition of special. Later that night, as I was leaving, Melissa hugged me tightly again. Thank you for not coming right away, she whispered, for letting me face the consequences of my own breakdown. That wasn't my intention, I admitted. I was just trying to protect myself for once. Well, it worked out for both of us. I needed to see them without you as a buffer, to realize how much pressure they put on me, too. I nodded against her shoulder. It shouldn't have taken a tragedy for us to have this conversation. No, but at least we're having it now. She pulled back, her eyes serious. I'm going to be okay, Em. And so are you. Better than okay. As I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in years. There was still hurt to process, boundaries to maintain, and relationships to rebuild on healthier terms. But for the first time, I wasn't doing it alone, and I wasn't doing it from a place of perceived inadequacy. My phone pinged with a text as I parked outside my apartment building. It was from Kate. Just heard from Leanne. They want to fast-track your book for spring release. Still on for celebration dinner next week. I smiled and typed back, absolutely. I've got a lot to celebrate. And I did. Not just the book deal, though that was certainly worth celebrating, but also the beginning of something new. A life where I defined my own worth, where special wasn't a comparative term, but simply a recognition of the unique value each of us brings to the world. I had spent 28 years believing I wasn't as special as my sister, but now I understood we were both special in entirely different, incomparable ways. And that was exactly as it should be.